Hello, friends. Welcome to the Logistics of Logistics podcast. My name is Joe Lynch. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's topic is smarter landside logistics with my friend Brian Kobza. How's it going, Brian?
It's going good, Joe. Appreciate you having me on. This is a very interesting place to be in, the little fish tank you got us.
Yeah, so I should mention that we are at the Super Bowl of Intermodal Logistics, and that is the IANA Intermodal Expo 2025 in beautiful Long Beach. We're in the Long Beach Convention Center. This is the only convention center in the world that has its own port.
That's right. That's right. And that's why I think it's sponsored by the port.
Yes, exactly. Beautiful. This has been a great conference. I've seen you guys at IMC. By the way, I should also mention, you can't quite see it in the background, but I can see the IMC brought show and tell stuff today. They brought their own truck, a zero emissions vehicle. We'll talk about that more. But Brian, please introduce yourself and your company and what you guys do.
Great. We're just having a lot of fun. The transportation's fun. I don't care what anybody that says. My name is Brian Kobza. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at IMC Logistics. We're based down in Collierville, Tennessee, and we are a landside logistics company that's focused on asset-based drayage and then anything else to do with landside logistics, from intermodal rail, international, domestic, warehousing, transloading, and a whole lot of chassis as well.
So I never heard the term landside logistics. I think it's intuitive what it means.
Sure.
It's on the land, and it's probably by the side is assuming it is all about the ports. So please elaborate on what that means.
In this industry, there's terminology, or so many different words to describe everything. So on the land side, some people call it final mile. We take containers, international containers, that's our focus, from either the ports or the railheads to a warehouse or a distribution center on behalf of our customers. And for the most part, those are shippers and BCOs. So that's when we say landside. I don't know what happens on the water. I do from previous careers, but I don't want to know. I want to know when it's going to get to the land so that I can provide and create a solution for my customers to get the box where they need to go.
So you're asset-based, meaning you have all drayage?
Drayage is our core part of our business. We've got about 2,700 trucks positioned nationwide in every major port and every major rail market around the country, soon hopefully expanding throughout North America. And we then dabble and work a lot in the rest of the convention. So for the landside part, beyond drayage, we are doing the rail integration. So we move boxes with contracts with all 4 Class 1 railroads in the U.S. to move international containers around the country. And then we also do warehousing, transloaded chassis provisioning for our customers.
Yep. So this conference that we're at, the IANA conference, is all about the port. Obviously, we're at Long Beach, right next door to LA. Yep. And I feel, and I've said this to a few people this week, that intermodal and the ports and all the containers, it gets overlooked. It is the backbone of the economy, not just the supply chain, it's of the economy. And yet it doesn't get the same attention that over-the-road trucking gets. And when somebody says freight tech, you go, oh, you mean for trucks? There's a ton of freight tech here that is focused on the ports and the containers and drayage, and super important. And again, I just think it gets a little overlooked. I feel like IANA is a little overlooked. I know they've been around for a long time, but they fly under the radar for people who aren't directly associated with intermodal.
Absolutely. Historically, IANA was a place where the steamship lines, and there wasn't just like 11 of them there are now, there were 25 to 30 of them. This experience and this expo was built around the steamship lines coming here and negotiating with providers. So that's drayage providers, chassis providers, and the railroads. And that's what this was really built on.
So one more time, what problems do you solve and who do you solve them for?
Good. I love that question because I don't like to think of our team or my team going out and doing sales. We are consultants for our customers, trying to create solutions on, of course, the land side of the logistics center. So our main customers are BCOs and shippers. Those are our core focus of who we provide. That's anywhere from furniture movers or apparel movers, textiles, exporters, importers, anyone in between. And we create solutions for them to get their cargo as efficiently, as cost effective, and as on time as possible.
Yep. So what is BCO for people who don't do it every day?
Sure. It's a beneficial cargo owner. So when you think BCO or shipper, think of the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Costcos, the Nikes, the apparel.
We would normally call them shippers, but in this case, because they might be the importer of record or the exporters, we call them BCOs.
That's right. Shippers is too big of a terminology, so we really try to focus on saying our core customers are the beneficial cargo owners.
So we'll get into more detail about that in a minute. Brian, tell us a little bit about you. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Some career highlights before you joined the juggernaut that is IMC.
I've gotten very lucky in my career, but I've lost all my hair, obviously, throughout it. So I grew up right outside of Boston in a little place called Foxborough, Massachusetts.
Oh,
which
nice.
is why I asked you earlier about Tom Brady.
We love Tom Brady. Sorry.
Yeah, he's
Sorry.
a Michigan fan and Patriots fan to come together. It's a good place. So I grew up there. Great family, great area to grow up in. But I wanted to get back and serve my country. I wanted to be an engineer, of all things. And I went to a small school called Massachusetts Maritime Academy, right on Buzzards Bay. It's a maritime academy where it is fully regimented. And I joined the Navy Reserves, and I had a blast. I got an engineering degree. I learned everything I wanted to do, and then I got recruited after I sailed, actually, on a ship for a little bit. I got recruited by Maersk. And I was like, who's Maersk? I thought it was Merck, right? I didn't know, got me out of school, and after sailing for a little bit, a landside job sounded like a lot of fun. And I got recruited into Maersk, but they were doing the management training program, and it just wasn't a great fit for me. I have a little more action. Right? So I went to work for APM Terminals down in New York, New Jersey, in Elizabeth. Had some great bosses and great mentors, and grew up in operations. Went from there, went to work for a company called Maersk Equipment Service Company, which is now DCLI, which is another juggernaut in the industry.
Yeah, they're here. They're here.
That's right.
Talked to them yesterday.
It was a fantastic learning experience right there, really getting thrown into the operational trenches of now working for a company like Maersk and then being on the forefront of the creation of DCLI. And I fell in love with the industry there. I went to work for Hyundai Merchant Marine, the steamship line, for a little bit. Then I got lucky enough to get pulled into a little public service with the Port Authority of Newark, New Jersey. And that was my first foray out of operations into more of a commercial role, doing industry relations for automobile, steamship lines, labor, a little bit of everything. It was a great time to learn. Again, got really lucky by working with a lot of great people. And from there, working in public life at the Port Authority, while a lot of fun and learning a lot, it doesn't always provide for the family great. So I went to work for the railroad. I went to work for CSX for about 5 years. That's where I stayed on the commercial side of the industry and did account management, working with steamship lines on the international side to develop their business. And again, you had said, provide solutions, create solutions. CSX, absolutely fantastic company. I got to be a part of Hunter Harrison coming in and PSR going on. And it was, once again, I got lucky and a great learning experience. And you join an organization and you hope to learn a lot, but when there's changeover and turmoil, you learn a whole lot. So that was definitely a lot of fun. But then I did go back into the port side of it. I went to work for the Port of Virginia, and then to a company called Global Container Terminals, which manages 2 marine terminals in New York, New Jersey, one in Staten Island and one in Bayonne. Again, another fantastic learning experience. I got to work with a lot of really great, fantastic legends in the industry, learned a lot, but then got to learn how to sell an asset like a terminal. So we was part of the sell team into CMA CGM. The terminals are now recoined as Port Liberty. A lot of great management team there doing a lot of great things. And it was perfect timing for me to move on in my career and come to IMC.
Nice. So you obviously had choices. Why choose IMC? What was it about IMC that you liked?
First, the people, and second, the opportunity. This is a family-owned company who is not scared to invest ahead of time and to grow. They're on the forefront of not just drayage, but the Landside Logistics. And they were also going through a metamorphosis. This was a family-owned company that was focused on drayage, and they were growing into the greater Landside Logistics side. So I came aboard at a perfect time to help them diversify in their intermodal rail providing, solution creation on the warehouse and transloading side, and they were really starting to invest in sustainability at the same time. So it was a great place. I'm a lifetime learner, to learn a lot, work with great people, and to really give back to this industry in a new way.
Love it. I love it. So I wrote down 5 things I want to talk to you about. So first, again, one more time, why IANA? Why is the IANA conference here in Long Beach? Why are you here? Why is IMC Logistics? Why is this important to you guys?
Good. So IANA does more than just put on like a great expo. They are part of providing guidelines, whether it's on safety or operational, to the industry as a whole. We have a few of our leadership team, our board members of IANA, and they participate and give back. So it's just a great way, again, to learn, to create new provisions, create safer models, to advocate on behalf of the industry, and create a platform.
You mentioned advocate. We're going to talk more about cargo theft and cybersecurity and freight fraud. IANA is in Washington, D.C., or just outside, and they are advocating on behalf of this industry. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that we're going to have to solve a lot of these problems ourselves, probably with new tech and some other stuff, but we need help, because one of the weird parts about our business is you say, hey, somebody stole from us. Maybe it was from the rail or from a truck, and you go, where did it get stolen? Somewhere between LA and Atlanta.
That's right.
Oh, should I
the black hole of technology.
Yeah, should I call every police department between LA and Atlanta? Or we need, I think, federal assistance. But I think it's going to ultimately come down to our industry is going to have to be proactive. And I think if you're at the IANA conference, you're seeing a whole bunch of companies talk about how they're being proactive. Almost everybody here is talking about some sort of security. We'll get back to that in a minute. But that is why you should be at the IANA conference to me, and why you should join the IANA as an association. And you don't necessarily have to be intermodal to join it. I think what we need is flow in the supply chain. So if I'm a big supply chain company, if I'm the Procter & Gamble or General Motors, what I want is flow. I don't want to see a whole bunch of silos.
That's right. We call it fluidity in the supply chain.
The warehousing guys who know this can be the nature of our business. I'm a warehouse guy. I'm an inch wide and a mile deep. I know everything about warehousing. I don't know what the freight forwarders do. Don't care. I don't know what the over-the-road guys do. I don't care. We have to learn about what's happening upstream and downstream of us. That's how we get flow.
Yep. We have a lot of experts in the industry that know their individual ones. I know a little bit about everything to be dangerous. I can't say that.
Well, you got to be an expert, but I think also you come to conferences like this and you learn about what the guy upstream or downstream does.
Connecting dots is important. So the one thing we didn't say about IANA that I think is important in this industry that we don't talk about enough is relationships.
Yeah.
And coming here, you get to build new relationships, strengthen old ones, and relationships still get jobs done and get the work done and collaborate to create the solutions you've been talking about so much.
And it's interesting because I always think you can maintain a relationship by phone or by Zoom, but it helps to come to a conference and have a sandwich, have a beer, talking podcasts.
And you talked about it earlier on your podcast. You have to build a relationship with your listeners and with the community, and trust is a big factor in that. So face-to-face meetings and relationships with people you trust and you like to do business with pays value.
Yeah, that works. So the next thing I want to talk about is state of the industry. Sure. I know you're probably one of the only people who can tell me when the great freight recession ends.
Yes, I got to get my magic 8-ball out.
No. So from the IMC perspective, we've had a 3.5-year freight recession. That doesn't mean freight's not moving, but it does mean there's a lot of companies under pressure. IMC is one of the bigger players. They have assets, but we've seen just a slow time. And I think a lot of us thought, the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, probably in 2025, and now we're saying definitely not 2025, probably 2026. Really, and by the way, I can say that it seems that there's fewer bankruptcies in the freight brokerage business and in the trucking business. Slowing down. We were losing hundreds of companies per month. Now it's a dozen. So it looks like we hit bottom, but now we're wondering, will we ever come off this bottom? What's your perspective on what's going on with the state of the industry?
Boy, that's a long answer. I'll start with you. You mentioned a freight recession, but we don't believe we're in a freight recession. We call it a freight rate recession. Volumes up. Imports year to date are up about 3.3% coming into the U.S. So it's not like the business isn't there. Volume is there. It's moving more than last year. The rates have not moved up. And when I say rates, full truckload, less than truckload, and drayage, they are probably at below pandemic, but pre-pandemic levels.
Right. So you can't compare yourself to COVID. You have to compare yourself to 2019.
You got it. And if you look at landside providers, our costs keep going up and up every year, but the rates are staying straight. So it's a real hard margin compression, and we're all in a for-profit, and you need to generate a profit to be able to take care of your employees, your people, and your customers. So it's been a difficult market over the last couple of years.
I say this all the time over the last year or two is we're being asked to make more investments. Right outside, we have your brand new electric net zero vehicle, drayage vehicle, and I'm sure that costs a pretty penny. And Port of Long Beach, Port of LA, they have higher emission or lower emission standards here. And so the bar is higher. So you have to make investments. It's hard to make investments when you say the market's been not paying us what we think we're worth. And how do I continue to invest? By the way, we're going to, maybe we'll segue here. Cargo theft, cybersecurity, and freight fraud. I sound like a broken record over here. Those are things we have to invest more money in. And by the way, I also throw this out there. I believe that those things are maybe driven by the difficulties in the market, where you're willing to take a chance on let's say I'm a broker and I'm trying to make an extra $100 and I didn't really get this good feeling about this carrier, but he is $100 cheaper. Yep. And so I take a chance. I think if we all were buying with security in mind, we'd all go out of business.
Absolutely. Our customers,
that's the problem.
We talked about beneficial cargo owners. They're under margin compression as well in the marketplace. A lot of them are public companies, publicly traded. So they're under a lot of their own speculation. So they need to manage their costs. And so we understand why the rates are down. We are lucky enough to be a very financially sound company. We have made the right decisions. We have fantastic ownership to put us in a position of success. But when you were talking about the market earlier, we've seen great family companies go out of business in just the last couple of months, where it's painful to watch because, like we also said earlier, relationships, we like these people. They might be competitors, but they're good people. We're hoping to find ways out of this. If you listen to the National Retail Federation or a couple of the other different companies that represent importers, they're projecting, I think, a 17 to 19% reduction in Q4. I'm an internal optimist, and I try to look at things a little deeper, and so do we at IMC. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think that inventory levels for our core customers in the general market is still at 1.3 months, and that's a good, solid level. It has not increased. And I don't know about you and your families, but we're still spending money. It's back to school, it's Halloween, it's Christmas. See it being a much more plateau. I think volumes stay where they are with maybe small reductions through the rest of the year.
I think with the new administration, we had the tariffs, and I think we are repositioning supply chains. I don't think that means all the supply chains are coming home, but it also means, so if you say, hey, there's a higher tariff on China, maybe there's capacity in Mexico that I can buy, or maybe it's in Idaho. I'm going to buy it from there instead. That's happening. In some cases, we're going to need to build capacity that's not there. That's a longer term. That's more like a decade than it is a year, especially for some of the stuff that I think a lot of stuff isn't going to necessarily move home. I think it's the next iteration. So the next vehicle built here rather than in Mexico.
That might be the case.
Yeah. But those are, again, 5-10 years on some of that. What we're talking about right now, a lot of times I was using a supplier in China. It was a little cheaper, but when you put the tariff on it, now I can use the U.S. supplier.
That's right.
That's a good thing for our economy, but it's an adjustment.
It's change.
And anything that's not very predictable is scary for business people, because you say, I have to make a decision about how I invest my money, and I'm not exactly sure what's happening. I think longer term, we're going to have a more robust manufacturing environment in the U.S. I think we're going to see a lot of high-tech stuff. The chips are all coming home. Anything to do with security coming home. The drones, the robots, and the cars are going to be made here. Even the ships are going to be made here. Not all of them, but some of them. And again, I think anything that is related to our security is going to be made here. And I don't think that's a Democratic thing or a Republican thing. It's been happening. There was the CHIPS Act under President Biden. We have some of this tariff stuff. Same direction.
It's an American thing.
Yeah, it's definitely an American thing.
When we say it's supposed to sound scary to people in supply chain, it doesn't for us. If you think about it deeper, there's still, when you are manufacturing, you need a lot of raw materials and you need a lot of parts. So that will still need to be imported to some level to help support the manufacturing and the building out.
Yeah, and companies like IMC tend to grow with their customers. So they say, hey, can you do this? Oh, we opened a new facility. Can you help us over here? Yeah, sure.
Like I said, we don't have career salespeople at our company. We have mostly operational people put in a position to create solutions for our customers and be their inside consultant. And we don't like to say no if our customers need something.
It's a period of transition. I will also say, I think it's necessary. I think a lot of it's necessary. What we learned, I think, over the last couple decades was we moved a lot of manufacturing overseas. When we say overseas, it's generally China. And one of the challenges I think or lessons we learned is when you move the manufacturing over there, the people who do the manufacturing tend to get really good and move upstream and start competing with us. And that's a good thing for consumers, but we got to bring some of those jobs home. I think we have also noticed, I'm from the Midwest, we lost a lot of manufacturing jobs. And somebody might say, I don't want to go work in a plant. I think the plants that we open here are going to be higher tech, all good stuff. It's just an adjustment.
Change is an adjustment. Change can be scary,
Yep.
but it's a part of a growing economy, a growing business, and a growing country.
Yep. So I did 2 interviews before I talked to you today. And so I talked to Russ Jones, and his company is Private Fleet Net Zero, all about sustainability and using, and the name of that was Deadhead is Dead. But
Deadhead is dead.
He's
Interesting.
all
I like
about
that.
using
No, becoming efficient. I like it.
private fleet capacity, making it available to brokers. But anyway, with sustainability, but also cost benefit. While I was talking to him, we were talking about the IMC vehicle.
It's a sexy truck.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
sexy truck.
Yeah, and when I talked to Noel this morning, we talked about the IMC truck. So that truck outside, very sharp, it's a drayage vehicle. Tell me about that.
We talked a little bit about it earlier about why I came to IMC, and that's definitely one of them. Investing
off?
ahead of the need. They didn't need me for that. I just helped. This is a company that invests ahead of time and invests in what our customers want or we expect them to want over time. But we also try to do the right thing for our community. So we've really led the investment into sustainable trucks and sustainable initiatives beyond just trucks. We've purchased and deployed about 6 zero-emission electric trucks, so it's BEV, battery electric vehicles, and 50 hydrogen trucks. So we're at a fleet out here on the West Coast of 56 trucks. I believe that's the largest on the drayage side for an asset-based company, and we've really tried to put our money where our mouth is. The difficult part of sustainability is regulations change. We've talked about change a lot so far today. Yeah. They are rapidly changing again right now. Some are being pulled back or peeled away. You have competing government interests, whether it's the state of California or the federal government, and we're trying to figure out how to navigate that. Another area of unpredictability, but we will continue to invest in sustainability because we think it's the right thing to do. And we have some great partnerships with our customers that also think it's the right thing to do. Because unfortunately, it's not less expensive, it's more expensive.
Yeah, this is one of the things I've said every time I talk about it is the Trump administration has less focus on mandated electric vehicles. Maybe Biden administration, I don't care. They're politicians. What matters is what our customers say. A lot of the top brands, almost all the top brands, if you look at the Fortune 500, they all have a sustainability goal. And they want you to help. And they're looking at our industry and saying, help me. And by the way, I'm not positive, and nor are you, that electricity is the ultimate answer, nor is hydrogen. You guys have made some investments, some big bets. And you're going to tell me, maybe I'll see you here next year and you'll say, Joe, this is what's good about this, what's bad about it. I love to think that we're going to continue to innovate and have, because it's funny, I'm an automotive guy originally. And
Detroit, Michigan? No, I never would have guessed that.
So I worked in engineering for a long time. And when I talk to my friends about electric vehicles, they're like, they're still in engineering, and they'll say, oh, this is good. This is the good part. That's the bad part. I think what we had was the government saying, you will have electric. Is it the right answer? It's from the government. Is it the 50-50? But I think somebody has to lead. And you guys are taking a leadership position.
We are trying to.
And by the way, smaller companies with less resources can't do that. And I think we see a lot of consolidation in the whole business. If you want investment in stuff like that net zero vehicle that you have out, net zero emissions vehicle out there, it can't be the mom and pop companies that are just scraping by. They can't make those kind of investments.
No, it's difficult. It is an expensive investment. 56 trucks cost us a pretty penny. And we, like a lot of things we do here, it's a blended approach for us. We've invested in hydrogen. We're investing in electric. We also invest in biofuels or renewable diesels.
Yeah, well. I love that.
You got to put the whole chain together so that, again, when we're offering and creating solutions for our customers, we can go basic diesel, biodiesel, or renewable diesel, or a ZEV truck.
And by the way, if we look at how the emissions have dropped in vehicles over the last 30 years. It's been incredible. And I think we're starting to see some of the people who are playing around with how do we capture carbon. I don't know what the ultimate answer is. I don't think anybody does. But I think, again, the leaders are going to have to help us figure out what is the way. If you don't make those investments, you can't figure it out. And I think it's directionally correct. You go, hey, this is potentially one of the solutions.
Most of the time, we're just listening to our customers.
Yeah. And I think, again, the industry as a whole is being looked at. Forget what Biden wants. Forget what Trump wants. What does Walmart want?
And that's exactly right.
What does Costco want?
They help
What
guide
does General
us.
Motors want?
They guide us in where they are now, what they want now, what they want in the future. And then we have a fantastically smart team that investigates what the best avenue to achieve that goal is with them.
And by the way, one of your customers is California and these two ports, LA and Long Beach. And they have said to you guys and everyone else, we have a smog problem. It's not a problem you have out in your neck of the woods in New Jersey. It's not a problem we have in Michigan. But California tends to lead the way on this because they do have a different weather. By the way, it's gorgeous weather, but they have smog and they want to prevent it. And by the way, we have seen illness in children in this area. So this is not all about rare fish. It's about kids. It's about families.
I would agree. We are a very family-oriented company, and investing in sustainability and a cleaner environment is good for everybody.
I agree. So we talked about IANA. We talked about the state of the industry, cargo theft check, and sustainability. I am going to do the best I can to summarize, and then I want your final thoughts on the topic. So I'm talking to my friend Brian Kobza, and we're talking about smarter landside logistics and what IMC is doing. So we talked about IANA, why IANA is so important to not only the industry, but also to IMC. And it gives us a chance to get here, build those relationships, but also see the innovations like that cool truck you guys brought. But there's all sorts, and by the way, while we were talking, that
is the robot going by? Yeah.
Robot walked by. I was like,
it's a robot dog that's going around. That's a solution for a lot of different things, and it's very neat looking at it. But cargo security, that could be a good place for warehouse and yard storage.
There's all sorts of innovation here. This is where you come to learn about the new innovations, build those relationships, understand what the port wants. If you don't go see the port, you can't say, oh, we're port to door, but I've never been to the port.
we take one of our favorite things to do is take our customers and put them in a truck or give them a port tour and then give them a final end tour to really broaden their eyes and show them how big the supply chain really is.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, it is huge. I think until you've been here, this is like a city.
It is.
I mean, it's just enormous. When you look at Long Beach and LA, I got the harborside view. And by the way, this
lucky.
Yeah. There's the ocean view. There's this harbor side. Neither one's bad. So we talked about IANA, why that's so important. You should join the association, and you should get to the next expo, which is next year. We also talked about state of the industry. Nobody really knows. It's been a tough time. Margin compression. I think a lot of people feel it's very difficult to sell, feel the commoditized. Companies like IMC are able to still invest and still grow during these difficult times, but there's a lot of other people who are saying, what do we got to do to survive this?
It's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
We've got a great leadership team, great family ownership here.
Yep. And we talked about cargo theft, cybersecurity, and freight fraud. I'm a broken record on this. I do believe that the margin compression is part of the problem. I think people are taking some chances on less than reputable companies. I also think that we need some solutions from Washington on enforcement. This is not a city problem or a state problem. This is a federal problem. It's hard to call your local policeman and tell them, hey, I had some cargo stolen 4 states away. Can you help me out? The answer is no, I can't. But I do believe, and we've seen it here, there are all sorts of cyber security solutions here. Talk to Bloodhound Tracking. I know you guys are talking to them. Unbelievable. By the way, we didn't talk about it, but we should have. Smarter containers. I think those containers are getting smarter every day. The trucks got really smart with ELDs and all the apps on that driver's tablet. I think we're going to see containers take that same journey, and that's going to be good for the cargo theft and the security that we all need with our freight. I do think so often, though, is we're an industry that was too trusting for a long time. Somebody calls you up and says, oh, I trust that guy. Talk to him on the phone.
It was very manual.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I got a call on a Friday afternoon. This is about 3 months ago. And the guy says, "Hey, Joe, I need to move a whole bunch of stuff out of the port of Miami." And I go, "Okay." And he says, "Can you connect me with a freight broker?" And I go, "Sure." And he goes, "Not a big one, just a smaller company." And I go, "How many loads?" And he was like, 11 and then 50. They just kept growing. I go, "Sure." So I said, "I'll have my buddy call you." Sent a text to my buddy. I was pretty happy for
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, whole bunch of freight for your new freight brokerage." And the next morning, I'm at breakfast scrolling through my phone. I look at the website of this company. I go, "Oh, I didn't look at this. This doesn't seem, it's so generic." But they did have a website. And then I was thinking about my conversation. And then I texted my friend. I go, "Please check out that freight I sent you yesterday." And he goes, "Why?" He called me. And I said, "It might be fraud." He goes, "I'll have my ops guys look at it." Called me back later. He goes, "Dude, you're right."
Really?
And I was thinking to myself, I was thrilled to call
Good
my
for
friend.
you for thinking it through. Yeah.
And he was thrilled to go to his guys and go, "Hey, here's some cool freight." We're so excited for new business. It's been a tough market. Boy, that's like pennies from heaven.
You always want new business.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially
So that's-
profitable business.
We're desperate. That's a little bit what happens in the industry. So anyway, I understand how this happens. Last but not least, we talked about sustainability. Again, we talked about your truck. A lot of what we're seeing here today is about sustainability. The ports of Long Beach and LA, they aren't asking for your support and sustainability. They're telling you, help us with our smog. And I think they're starting to put laws in place that are going to make us be that way. And I think it's a good thing. California tends to lead the way on emissions for good reason. They have a bigger emissions problem than the rest of the country. Enough of my
We're ready
blather.
to support them.
Enough of my blather. Put a big old bow on this one, Brian.
Big old bow. All right. 2 final points then. We talked a little bit about cargo security, but I do want to hammer home our Chief Strategy Officer, Miss Donna Lem, who's here at IANA.
I
board
talked to her
member.
yesterday.
She's a fantastic, extremely intelligent woman, definitely a leader in this industry. She is on the IANA board, and they are advocating and pushing something called the Corca Bill. The Corca Bill is a federal bill to create funding for a national cargo theft registry so that we can actually combine. So if it happens in Detroit, it happens in LA, you want it to be reported all to the same place. It also provides funding for training and really also, more importantly, prosecution. Too many times cargo theft nowadays is not prosecuted to an extent that unfortunately the bad actors aren't just right back on the street the next day.
I think we're all embarrassed if that happens to us. I don't want to tell my boss I screwed up. I don't want to tell my customer I clicked on a link and I put your security at risk. It happens to the very best companies. I think it's important somehow for us to say the only way this gets better is for us to be honest with ourselves in the industry. It's painful. Nobody wants to be the stool. I don't want to say, I'm the idiot. I'm the one who did it.
This is another area that IMC is leading on from a personnel level with people like Ms. Donna Lem, or we're investing in some really cool things that hopefully I'll see at TPM that we can tell you more about then as we finish it up. And last but not least, you want to bow. This week is Driver Appreciation Week. And I'll be remiss if I don't say it. That is our first line customer, our drivers, our people, our men and women that are in the cab working day to day. Thank you to them for all their work they do. And if anybody's listening, no matter whether it's Driver Appreciation Week or something else, just say thank you. Treat them with the respect they deserve because those are good people delivering for all of us.
Yeah, I appreciate what you guys are doing. I don't say this lightly, but you guys are one of the leaders in this industry, and there's a reason you guys got that truck out there. And again, I think we need more leaders to solve these problems. The problems that we're facing right now are enormous.
It's a team effort.
And it's one thing to face problems like during COVID where there was money raining down on the industry. We're asking companies like IMC, I know you're not making the same money you made during COVID, but you're still making the big moves and investing in the space.
Still this is an industry that'll forever be a part of the country. Transportation is necessary, so we have to keep on investing.
Brian, I'll make sure I put a link to your LinkedIn profile, link to your website, any other links you and your go-to-market team give me, I'll put in the show notes.
Sounds fantastic.
So people can reach out and talk to you. And thank you so much for taking the time.
This is a lot of fun. I appreciate your time.
Yep. And thank all of you for listening to my podcast. Your support's very much appreciated. Until next time, onward and upward. You have been listening to the Logistics of Logistics podcast, where we engage with leaders in the logistics and supply chain community. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, hit the like button, and leave us a nice review on Apple or Spotify or wherever else you listen. Also, please check out our videos on YouTube and connect with us on LinkedIn. We're very big on LinkedIn. And you can also reach us on the logisticsoflogistics.com, our website.